Good evening. Get ready for some breaking news because the British public aren't backing down anymore. In Epping, Essex, an Ethiopian man who had reportedly been in the country for just a few days after arriving on a small boat has been charged with numerous sex offences. One of them is against a young schoolgirl. He denies all the allegations. There's been protests. The police even escorted Stand Up to Racism to the hotel.
If these are locals, why are they getting in a police car? Why are they getting in police cars? Why don't they just go home if they're local?
All of that prompted a ridiculous press conference with the Chief Constable of Essex Police yesterday, where he basically said he couldn't comment on anything, nothing was really his job, and the left-wing media just wanted to ask questions about Nigel Farage and try and blame it all on him and online misinformation. Well, today, the police then barricaded that hotel. Locals turned up anyway, and then police penned them in.
We're like animals in a zoo at the moment. If you want to protest against the hotel, you have to be in designated areas. This police operation is very well organised and a very heavy police presence. We're hearing police dogs.
But especially the women of Epping would not be deterred, and they decided to march on the local council building.
This is astonishing. Astonishing. I'm not sure if the police were banking on this, but as you can see, there are police escorting up.
Yeah, just hear shouts there of "Save our kids." And tonight, some breaking news. Epping Forest District Council has voted unanimously to urge the government to close the hotel at the centre of all of these protests. Here's a clip.
So all those, please, in favour of the motion, please raise your hand.
The bell's going to be closed.
Unanimous, Chairman.
So, as I understand it, that is a very clear message to the Home Office and to the government. And if they decide not to close the hotel, then they would be going against directly, really, not just the views of the local people, but also the views of the local council. So that puts them in a tricky position, doesn't it? Look, people bang on about the far right and about violent, racist thugs. Well, this doesn't sound very racist or far right to me.
What will stop you?
Nothing. Nothing will stop us until because it's our children. But when do you say, oh, yeah, okay, your kids don't matter then? Of course they matter. If you've got 5 men standing on a street corner doing nothing, because they've got nothing to do, looking at girls going past in their tennis outfits and their gym clothes, it makes you feel very bloody uncomfortable.
Yeah, nothing really racist about that, is there? She said that they've had letters from the school warning them about the men from the hotel. She said they can't go jogging anymore because those blokes just sit around drinking all day. Look, at the police presence here, look at this police presence for these concerned parents.
See the number of police moving across here. We've seen police officers from Warwickshire, we've seen them from Derbyshire, as you say, Nottingham, and the Metropolitan Police here as well.
So you'll see police outside a migrant hotel when local mums and kids want to turn up and say, do you mind just protecting us? But you don't see them when there are migrants working illegally, do you? My view is this. The argument has been won. With all the evidence that we now have about the rate of sexual assault and violent crime from the countries that these men are coming from, everyone has a right to protest any hotel in their area. But the left-wing media and politicians are desperate to be able to call you all far-right, violent racists. So don't let them. Just be a bit like these ladies here. Let's have a look. There they go. I'm not far right. I'm worried about my kids. There we go. Make Epping safe again. Yeah, be like them.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private internet access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private internet access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GB News discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GBnews to start protecting yourself digitally today.
Anyway, let's get the thoughts of my panel. We are joined this evening by former Tory MP Anna Firth. We've also got journalist Angela Epstein and ex-Labour Party advisor Matthew Larser. So, the breaking development tonight is that Epping Forest District Council has voted unanimously to tell the Home Office to basically shut that hotel down. This puts the government in a tricky position, doesn't it? Because it would show that people power works, which they can't really have, because otherwise every hotel's going to get a protest out of it and they'll have to shut every single one.
Well, when I was an MP, I was absolutely on this to make sure that we didn't have any migrant hotels in Southend. And I'm sure the MP in Epping did their best. I hope they did their best. But it should start right at that moment. Don't let any of these migrant hotels come to your patch, because they shouldn't be in hotels. You know, this goes right back to Starmer. This is all completely, as far as I'm concerned, this is all completely on him, promising the British public he was going to smash the gangs and presiding over record
Well, it can't really be true, though, because the migrant hotels actually started under the Tories.
No, of course they did, Patrick. Of course they did. And Rishi actually made the same mistake, stopped the boats. Starmer didn't learn from that. But now we have record numbers. They've got to go somewhere. They shouldn't be in hotels. They can be in hostels. They should be in deportation camps. Even bring back the Bibi Stockholm. That was good enough for German migrants to be housed on. It was good enough for people working on oil rigs. Okay. It's plenty good enough for migrants.
Well, what does the government do now then, Angela? Do they shut this hotel down because the local councillors and the local people, by the looks of it, want it gone?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that the government, that it's all about the optics as much as anything. You have predominantly young men arriving here illegally from a safe place, France. You know, we have a fine tradition of taking in people who escape persecution and who need sanctuary in this country. They come here, services are stretched, we can't get GP appointments. This is not about NIMBYism or about, being xenophobic. It's about being realistic. And there is very much a huge concern across the political landscape about uncontrolled mass immigration, illegal immigration. And Starmer, in my view, should have gone down there. Let's see him, instead of glad-handing around the world with politicians from all different countries, and say, I understand your concerns. There's no place for violence in protest, legitimate political protest, yes. Say, I understand how you feel that taxpayer money is being spent on giving asylum seekers cards, 6,500 of which have then been used in gambling establishments, not actually to gamble with, but the money's been taken out in gambles. Yeah. And the Home Office can track this, but they're not allowed to intervene with the transactions. People are seeing this and wondering, OK, we're supposed to give sanctuary to those in need. These are people clearly not in need because they're not spending the money on food and clothes, etc.
And I think one of the big points as well, and one of the real points of praise that I would really love to give the people of Epping and the people that have been prominent in the reports that Charlie Peters was doing throughout the course of this today, which is there are a lot of just mums there, actually, and they were making very serious points, which sound, I mean, I'm laughing because I find it ridiculous that they were like, well, we go jogging in that park and we can't anymore because the blokes just sit there and drink and ogle schoolgirls all day. They pointed out various different, alleged offences that have taken place there. The school apparently warned people about to be safe there. You know, why on earth would the government keep this hotel open, Matthew?
Because the short answer is because they've got to go somewhere whilst their claims are being processed. I mean, Anna, I agree with you. We do need to try and end the use of hotels, which is why under the first year of the Labour government, although it may not be far enough for many, the number of hotels in use has gone down significantly, and the cost has gone down significantly because the Labour government has insisted on better deals. That's good enough. We want to see the government has a policy of having nobody in a hotel by the end of this Parliament, and clearly people would like to see much faster process. The best thing is if people don't have to go anywhere because process, or you need a lot fewer accommodation, then you can use things like hostels, etc. And so we can turn people around faster because the backlog that the Labour
did, if we're going to be turning anyone around, though, are we? I think they're just going to be coming into random.
No, because more returns are up.
We don't have an We don't have an effective deterrent. That's front and centre been the problem with the Labour Party. Immediately they said they'd smashed the gangs. They immediately trashed the Rwanda scheme, and I know it was poo-pooed for all sorts of different reasons. But at least the scheme said, you come here illegally, we're turning you around and we're sending you back. They trashed that, but they didn't have an alternative.
Fine, but there's a big victory here for the people of Epping, which is that they had to overcome not just what was going on day to day in that particular area, which must have been horrific, but also the left-wing press turning up and trying to blame things on Nigel Farage and misinformation online, instead of asking the police officer the opportunity they had, direct, hard questions about the criminality, some of it alleged, that has been taking place in that area, and getting some answers. The other thing they had to put up with was the police escorting Stand Up to Racism there, and then all being told that they're far-right bigots.
But you're absolutely right, Patrick, to praise these mums and to praise these local people, because what they've actually done is they have engaged with the democratic process. They've marched on the right place, which is the local council building, and they have organised themselves and got a motion put before that council, and they've got that motion passed unanimously. But the problem still remains. If you don't turn the tap off, you're still going to have the bath overflowing. Yeah. And that's what's going on here. You know, it's all very well for Matthew to say that that returns have gone up. Yes, voluntary returns have gone up, but enforced returns are still a very small part of that.
They need to get bigger. But, I mean, the good thing is, for people around the country who, like the people of Epping, are concerned about the use of hotels, is that the number of people in hotels has gone down because people...
But where have they gone, Matthew?
Some has gone into private rented accommodation, which is not ideal, but also the number of people overall, I think, has gone down because the processing has got faster. It's not good enough. And look, you know, I think for people on the left to sort of criticise those mums is just ludicrous. Those concerns are legitimate lived experience, to use the phrase that the left like, and they should be listened to. I mean, I don't think there are people who try and hijack these protests. There are. Thankfully. Well, there are. You know, but those are not the mums who are standing outside the school gate.
That is a really important point.
Starmer should feel thoroughly ashamed of himself for scrapping the Rwanda scheme before it had even had a chance to start.
And also, he did it with such a flourish, as if to say, I cannot get
it was illegal.
I cannot get my red pen out fast enough, but I don't have anything in the time. It's classic Starmer. He's a weather-vane politician. He swings whichever way he thinks the electoral numbers will go for him. And this is such a huge concern. Like I said before, we don't even see him.
What about that police presence, though, today?
He should have gone down there. I think that's a really good point.
I think that would have been the last thing he should have done, because it would have inflamed the situation.
The thing I will say is that Sir Keir Starmer would never go to any of the places that I went to in Calais. He would never want to interact with the human traffickers that I spoke to and see how easy it is for himself. And he would never want to go to a protest there. And it does make you wonder, well, what's he good for? But
what he does want to do is reduce the use of hotels and stop it by the end of the Parliament. He's made that pledge. He's not going to meet it. He needs to meet it, otherwise he'll be judged on that by the electorate.
Also to smash the gangs.
And that's why new legislation...
Before we get into another row...
Have been smashed by Patrick Christys.
Well, we debated them.
I nearly stopped that before she started praising me then.
I know, classic Christys.
I want more of it. No, sorry, but I just want to get a point next. We've only got a couple of minutes left, which is about the police presence that we saw there. Huge police presence from loads of different police forces, apparently, for what turned out to be like a lot of mums.
And then the people report a burglary or their report, and nobody shows up. I was in a small supermarket of a large chain, one of those local versions, the other night. 2 men walked in, took 2 bag loads of booze before my very eyes and walked out. The staff were screaming at them, but they're not allowed to touch them. And I said, are you calling the police? And they said they won't show up. So you see that. You go to the Oasis concerts, as you know, they're in Manchester, on my neck of the woods. Masses of police here, you know, for effectively quite, you know, benign situations.
That is
real people don't get police when they need them.
That is a real problem because of Starmer not doing anything sensible to smash these gangs and stop the boats. We are going to find our police forces are depleted in other areas where we need them.
Matthew, do you think it justified that level of police presence?
Look, I don't think that the Chief Constable of Essex has covered himself in glory. I mean, there were questions about his track record with our dear friend Alison Pearson, who, you know, etc. So there are clearly issues around Essex. Where's the Police and Crime Commissioner for Essex, who should be keeping an eye on these things, who I think is a Tory, last time I checked. If not, but I mean, I think they're, you know, this is the elected person in charge of the police and crime, and they ultimately are who the Chief Constable reports to. So let's see some action from there.
There was also a story in the paper the other day about the police worrying they're going to be stretched if there's a summer of riots. Meanwhile, there's tons of them there.
You're trying to shoot the messenger. You're dealing with the symptoms. You're not dealing with
You can't criticise the policing and then just say they're OK because they're a Tory, they don't have responsibility.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying you're
So would you call for your colleague to...
still not dealing with the cause of the problem.
Would you call for your colleague to reprimand the Chief Constable?
Being allowed to come across the channel willy-nilly, and we are putting them in hotels.
We're going to move on.